Alright, I think we're pretty much good to go. Good a time as ever. Alright, what's up YouTube? Welcome to the video. I'm your host Doxie, the podcast channel, the Doxcast, where every single week I sit down with a brand new guest, and today I'll be taking you on about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hour, absolute freestyle spit yarn of me sitting down by myself doing a solo episode, because whenever I have important milestones in my life, I like to be able to speak about them by myself, air out some of my thoughts. It's almost like a little bit of a venting platform. And I always, of course, like to go back in the future, look back at these episodes and feel what it felt like to be in that moment. And I have got some pretty awesome stuff to be able to talk about today, some things that have been very exciting. I hit some milestones, some things I'm looking forward to, some things that have been pretty fucking annoying. And then, of course, just some things that have been part of my journey, part of my experience so far. I got quite a few things I want to talk about. Not really sure how I'm going to talk about it, in what order I want to talk about it in. But welcome to episode 155, solo podcast episode on the Doxcast channel. And as I said, I'm your host, Doxie. For anyone who just happens to be stumbling upon this episode for the very first time that hasn't seen this channel before. Now, a few things I want to talk about. I would say I am super excited this week. I did hit a milestone, 500 followers on YouTube. 500 subscribers, whatever it is. I'm pretty sure, it's subscribers. And that has been a pretty awesome thing, because if you know this by now, you probably already have heard me say it. But I went intentionally out with the direction of never asking or telling anyone to subscribe or telling anyone about my channel in person or bringing it up in a conversation. I just wanted to see how it would authentically grow on its own to the point in which it was able to be at the milestone in which YouTube recommends it to be at and actually requires it to be at, which is 500 subscribers until you can start making ad revenue off your videos. That's what I hit this week. So I've finally got to that position, and now I'm ready to start expanding the podcast. Personally, I feel like I've finally got to that position now where I'm able to start working with brands and collaborating, and whether it be product placement or ad reads or clothing to wear or things in the backdrop. There are a lot of cool opportunities that do come with this, being the position it is. Yes, you can kind of, whenever you want, I suppose from episode 1, you can try and reach out and find brand deals, try and find drinks to be sponsors for the podcast, or, things like hats that you can try and wear to promote other companies. But I wanted to wait until I did grow it, until YouTube decided it was at the position. And now I'm finally ready there. So I'm very excited this week to be able to start reaching out and making these connections with brands or individuals or whoever it might be. But I've got myself a pretty cool list going. I'm very excited to get this next chapter up and away. It just so happens to be also a mad coincidence too, if you believe in coincidences. Personally, I do not believe in coincidences. I've got the microphones on, yeah? Yeah, sweet. But I've been basically referring to this podcast as a apprenticeship so far since I've started doing it. And being episode 155, I am one episode away from being at the 3-year mark, which makes me technically a 4th-year apprentice moving forward from next week. And if you have done a trade before, anyone who's done a trade before, usually you have 3 years of study up until the point in which you do finish all of your final exams, and then you have pretty much got the opportunity now to be able to start proving yourself as a competent individual before you finally get signed off as a tradesman. And that's kind of what it's felt like through doing this series so far, doing this journey. I definitely feel like I've put in quite a few hours of practice and preparation. That's pretty much what I've been doing for the last 3 years. I've been getting myself ready to a position until I can at least feel confident enough to be able to start using this as a way to make income, because if I did try it before that, it would basically be like a first-year apprentice going out there and asking to get paid like a tradesman. It's very, very cool to be at that position now in the podcast. And 3 years, to be honest, just doesn't even sound right, to be honest. I think that I've been doing this for 3 years now. Showing up every single week, finding awesome people to be able to sit down with, having my amazing friends and having my beautiful family members, and then also reaching out to the people, whether it be through mutual suggestion, finding someone on Instagram that I like, or even sometimes, having people reach out to me to come be a part of the podcast journey and jump on the Doxcast. It's been an absolute privilege to sit down with every single person that I've sat down with so far. It's been awesome. And I have some really cool guests coming out in the next few episodes in the future. It's pretty crazy. 3 years, but to work with the brands and stuff like that, I'm very, very excited. I've still got a few things in the line works at the moment. Nothing I'm going to try and air out yet. I'm not going to try and speak on anything too soon. However, I do understand that this Doxcast studio has got magical powers, and it's been proven over and over again by people coming over, telling me things that they'd love to see come into fruition. And then, to to be honest, anything short of a year later, I'm seeing these people's dreams come true, in which they told me about in our episode. So I might as well start speaking some things through this episode that I would like to see come into my attainment, in the next foreseeable future. So that's what I'm going to try and do. I'm going to try and manifest through this episode as well. But that's been pretty cool. A couple other things that have been really, really exciting for me this week in particular, which is another reason why a solo episode just feels so perfect to be filming this week instead of next week, which was the intention, being the 3-year mark. But I've already got the episodes I'm going to put out for that week. So I moved this one a little bit forward. And this week in particular, I have actually sold the home in which I own. So very exciting, a little bit stressful, lots of stuff to try and wrap my heads around when it comes to the experience of what that has been like. However, I'm just very, very grateful to be in a position in which I've been able to buy my first home and now sell my first home. And to be honest, I might as well speak a little bit about what the experience has been like from my perspective, not trying to give anyone advice in what they should do, but I did not think it did not appear to be what I thought it was going to be when I was in the process of saving for my first home in the first place. So I'll speak a little bit about that, but it's been pretty cool. I think maybe like 4 days ago or something like that, someone's paid the deposit to be able to say, yep, that's mine now. So there's still that opportunity for someone to be able to back out and not do it, but that means they lose their deposit, and that means that I just made a little bit of money for absolutely doing nothing. So to be honest, if that happens fucking 10, 15 times, I'll be fucking cheering. That'll be a mad little lick. But yeah, pretty exciting. I think I've got about 30 days or something like that now to actually be out of this house and into the next, which is a chapter that I have been speaking about. I want to be able to do through this podcast episodes that I've been filming with other people for quite some time now. So yeah, I've definitely got a place that is the place that I would like to go to. Whether that becomes the first destination or whether it becomes the final one, only time can tell that. But that means I'm going to be ripping down my studio completely from top to bottom and rebuilding it in a brand new location. That means the entire place is going to look very, very different from the way it does now. I can imagine in the beginning of me setting it back up, I'll probably have a few of the same things. I'll probably have the same couches. I'll probably have a few of the same equipment. And for those who can't see behind the scenes, it will probably pretty much look a little bit like this. But with building the new studio in the new location, I'm very excited to completely upgrade everything and pretty much build this place from the floor up, just like I did for episode 52 when it came to this studio. And yeah, it's going to be pretty exciting. I'm already imagining what I think this place is going to look like. I'm going to rebuild everything, even from the computer that I use to edit the podcast on. It's definitely going to be a nice little fun but jam-fueled packed of. I'm not going to have enough time realistically to be able to do everything I want to be able to do it in the time frame I want to do it in. However, I'm just going to let nature take its course, do life on life's terms basically, and get into this new place with the attitude that I've got, with excitement to get into it and try and hold on to that no matter how stressful that experience is. But even moving in the next 30 days, like that's something that's going to take a little bit of brain power, I think. It's easy enough for me to be able to put in the energy and the effort when it comes to the physical things that need to be done. Like I've been working in construction for 10 years now basically, and I've done all different types of hours when it comes to doing 6-hour days or when it comes to doing 16-hour days. It doesn't matter if it was morning, afternoon, or night. Like I'm pretty comfortable realistically working hard. But the mental aspect of what something like moving actually is it actually is pretty much the hardest part about it, trying to fit everything in your time frame, not worry about the stress and the little final details, and trying to just focus on the bigger picture does take a little bit of attention. So it's where I'm trying to focus mine at the moment. But yeah, with 30 days to be able to get out of here, I'm going to do my best to be able to schedule in as many episodes as physically possible over the next few weeks, just so I don't feel that existential fucking dread that I know is inevitable if I don't get ahead of myself now. I've done it in the past. I know how much more cruisy and comfortable it feels to be able to be, even up to like 6, 7, 8 weeks in advance with the podcast, and knowing I don't have to actually schedule anything in. It does give me a little bit more time to be creative and experience more things. And to be honest, it also gives me a little bit more leniency to be a little bit more complacent and lazy too, which is always a good thing every now and then to jump on that side of it. But yeah, I'll have some pretty exciting guests. I'm very excited to get some out. I've got some people inside the worlds of athletics and music, and I've got some people inside the worlds of mental health and helping others, and I've got some people on their own experience when it comes to business creating and growing, whether it be the creative chase or the financial chase. There are some fucking really cool people I'm very excited to meet and sit down with and just spit a yarn with, realistically, you know. My conversational approach has changed a bit from episode 1 to episode 155 when it comes to what it is that I tell people or say to people when I do tell them about me asking them to be a part of the podcast for the first time, or finally having a phone call and chopping it up about what the podcast is from my point of view. And that's that I absolutely just love spitting a yarn with someone. You know, having someone come on, introduce themselves, I introduce myself, and kind of learn a little bit about each other. That's actually what the beauty about what podcasting is. It has nothing to do with the final product of what the episode can be perceived as to someone else. Like, I do love it, don't get me wrong. I love the feedback I get when someone else agrees with what I already believe, that they had a great time listening to the conversation, just like I had a great time having it. That is a really good feeling. But the personal connection that I get to build with someone when they come over, that's the fucking magic inside of it, you know? Like, the friendships that have been created, that I have created through this podcast, that's the absolute gold inside of it. So I guess I'm looking forward to these episodes, but more importantly, I'm kind of looking forward to making these friendships with some new people as well. It's not very often at the ages in which we age to become that you have the opportunity to be able to make new mates. But I think fucking if you do want to try and make some new mates, podcasting is a pretty good avenue and road for you to try and travel down. Yeah, but this move, I'm fucking super fucking keen, I can't say it enough times. Me and my business partner, and to be honest, that's definitely something that I'm going to try and circle back to realistically when I refer to that, because it's only a new chapter. But we pretty much designed the whole thing from the floor up. We're super keen to just go dump some absolute wastage on shit like furniture and anything from it comes to, what do they call those little, not like vases, like let's just call it artifacts. Fuck it, that'll be a good enough word to use. Just things to like stick around the rooms, and we're gonna aim for a 3-bedroom apartment, even though there's only gonna be 2 of us, just so we can have a 3rd bedroom as a walk-in wardrobe for us just to be able to show off and flex all of our, and share a living space in that way, just to be able to have clothes and shoes and hats and belts and everything that we could possibly want, wherever we want it, whenever we want it. And the 2 of us have a good enough working relationship where we feel comfortable enough to be able to share, which is not something that would be very common when you go into a rental agreement with someone. You know, usually it would be someone that you're kind of trying it out with. There's plenty of people I know that are just have flatmates and housemates, and they aren't necessarily business partners or friends or family. And even, to be honest, when you have got friends and family, sometimes you don't feel like being as generous with people as you probably could be. But so when you find someone that you just click with so well, everyone in that situation and relationship and community has the same mindset. That's something that I hold on to as hard as I can, because to find complete relatability in someone is a very rare thing. And fuck, man, I'm fucking absolutely so excited for her. I'm going to be away from the West. I'm not going to be living out here anymore. I've pretty much lived in the West my entire life. I think I've lived in like 25, 26 houses. Not houses in particular, but at least 20 spots since I've been alive. Anywhere from St. Mary's multiple times, realistically, North St. Mary's, and I've had Penrith, and I've had the surrounding suburbs from Penrith, like, I don't want to say Cambridge Gardens, whatever that fucking new suburb that was near there. And then you've got McGrath's Hill multiple times, Windsor, Rouse Hill a few times, Quakers Hill, like Acacia Gardens. I have fucking never really had a permanent spot, realistically, and I'm not pretending like this next location is going to be a permanent spot. It's definitely going to be temporary, but it's going to be away from the West. I'm trying to go a bit more inland. I want to be a bit more closer to the action. I do love it. I do love it out here. It's been where I've grown up. I wouldn't trade my memories in childhood and with the places I've been living for anything, but it's just about time, to be honest with you. It's just about time. I'd like to one day be able to say I can travel as far as living overseas and being in a new country. But to be honest, let's just start by leaving the postcodes. You know, let's just get out of the 2-7 for now. Try something different, and then maybe one day I'll make a step big enough to be able to go try a different state or a different country or a different planet. Who knows? We're fucking advancing pretty fast as civilizations fucking go old. But that'd be crazy. Imagine I could live on a different planet one day. Haven't even thought about that. That might be a possibility. You never know. Especially with the way the internet's going on and AI, and people are starting to fucking merge themselves with fucking artificial limbs and bionic shit. Like, I think wouldn't be too crazy. Imagine I could live in a virtual world one day. Imagine that. Imagine if I could just pack up shop, pay the money to download everything I have, and then upload myself into a server of wherever I wanted that server to be. That'd be fucking mad. I reckon I'd do that. That'd be pretty cool. Anyway, I'm getting a little bit off topic here. But I did mention the business partner, so that's something I'm pretty keen to talk about as well, actually. So a friend and I are going into business with a clothing brand. We are very, very excited to kick this off. We haven't been putting in like the craziest amount of hours, but we do realistically have once a week a business meeting where we sit down and we discuss everything that's been going right, going wrong, things we're looking forward to. We are in the very early stages of organizing samples. We've been constantly curating our tech pack, our textiles pack that we are sending out to the suppliers to be able to get them to make what we want as good as possible. We've had some fucking fails so far in the process. We are trying to build that relationship with the supplier in a healthy way where we're able to demand what we want but also be respectful for the time. And all of the waking hours that we spend thinking about the business outside of that is all about the marketing, the product launch, the advertisement, the storytelling. To be honest, I just have such an undeniable faith that this is going to be, if not bigger than what I can already imagine it to be, because what we are creating in particular has never been done before. So until it launches, I might not say too much about it. Not that I'm thinking that there's going to be some sneaky little hawk listening to my conversation. They're going to try and pluck out the gold from what it was. But I do find that what we are trying to create, this customer relationship, community-driven experience between brand and customer is literally unlike anything that has been done before. And purchasing this clothing is honestly way more of an experience, if I can say the least, than it would be if you were to buy literally any other thing. So I'm fucking super excited to kick this thing off. However, the interesting thing about it is this is never going to be something that we intend our face as being attached to. So I might reference it a few times through my online content journey in the future moving forward. And to be honest, if you're my closest friends in my life, or you're even someone that wants to know, like, if what's this brand that you're talking about, like, you can feel free to reach out, and I'll most likely spill the beans. I'm not really the best at keeping in my own information out from getting out, but I do like the idea of never really being the face of it, and so does my business partner as well. We almost want it to remain anonymous. We're not doing this for the fame of what it's like to be able to own this brand. We're doing it for I believe the right reasons, and I only found my reason not too long ago, and that's that when I am ready for my next stage of life of becoming a father, then I want to be able to spend as much time as possible with my kids and be as present as a dad as possible. And that's my why moving forward, So if this can create me the financial freedom and able to get that, then nothing's going to stop me from doing that, because I think that might be the most important thing looking forward at the long-term future that I can see is my passion and is my calling, being as present as a father as possible by the time I have kids. And I think this is going to help me get there, There's a few things that might help me get there. I'm not so like I'm putting all my eggs in one basket. But I do believe that's a strong enough why in order for me to continue growing, So that's been pretty cool. So yeah, shout out to my business partner. I know you listen to this one, of course. And let's get this fucking ball up and rolling, eh? And the process of buying and selling a home is definitely something that I thought I might try and share a little bit through this episode, because it's the road that I've been down. And I'd like to say this first and foremost, that I am honestly not really that smart. I am not that knowledgeable, and I'm definitely not educated inside the world of property management when it comes to your own portfolio or helping someone else do theirs. And I don't really know what areas are booming the most, what's in a bad area to avoid. And I promise you, I'm not very educated on it. I'm just going to try and share from my experience and how I felt doing it compared to how I expected it to be, in case anyone else is currently in the position that I was in a few years ago when I went down the journey in the first place. So what I found to be pretty much across the board is that everyone tells you the same thing, You just got to get your foot in the door. As soon as you can get your foot in the door, you'll be sweet, just get in the property market. And what people are talking about is, it doesn't matter how hard it is. It doesn't matter how expensive it's getting. It doesn't matter when. It doesn't matter why. It doesn't matter how. You just got to get a property and own a property. And for me personally, looking back on it, it was not the best advice. It's almost like that's the answer you tell someone once they've made that decision. It's almost like saying, oh, fuck, my car's broken down, so I have to fucking walk to the shops, but at least I'll get my steps in, you know what I mean? It's like, yes, you'll get your steps in. Like, that is a beneficial thing. However, I'm sure there's a million better ways to be able to get down to the shops, You don't have to try and find... I think people have been holding on to that like that is the useful piece of information, instead of that being a justifiable reason for making the decision in the first place. Because... for me personally, what I came to the conclusion of is I'm a single lad who doesn't necessarily enjoy spending too much time at home, and when I am home, I most certainly do not enjoy the renovation side of putting in all my money towards my house, putting in all my time and free time and energy into my house, and then trying to make it worth more money or making it aesthetically how I'd like it to be. Like, obviously, I enjoy the creative process of building, construction, and design. Like, I am expressively creative in that way, but I don't find the fulfillment in spending my weekends doing that. I just genuinely don't. There are so many different things I'd rather do. And I think a lot of people can relate in a way where you'd rather go out and do something on the weekend. On top of that, I think that people might not necessarily understand it to be as, I don't want to put poison as it comes out of my mouth, but difficult as it actually is to be able to live in your home once you do decide to get a mortgage. For example, and I want to use hypothetical numbers, $1 million home, which is pretty substandard, like that's not a very good home, if I'm going to be honest, living in Sydney at all. You're probably at least an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes away from Sydney CBD, so you can barely class yourself as living in Sydney in the first place. And that's not with traffic. With traffic, you're definitely further away. So you might be out west somewhere. You really can't really buy anywhere decent in Penrith for that anymore. You can't buy in Blacktown like that anymore. And even suburbs like Windsor, you're starting to lose that opportunity. There is still some houses, but believe me, like there's shit boxes out there. And $1 million mortgage, which let's just say, and to be honest, I think the average home is probably more than that now anyway. I wouldn't be surprised if the average home was at least $1.2 million. But on $1 million mortgage, your repayments would be per month. Your repayments would be about $6,000. Just substandard realistically. It's not like it's exactly that. You might, as interest rates go up and down, you might be paying anything up to like 6.3, 6.5 maybe even at the highest time. And as interest rates kind of drop, you could probably get away with paying like 5.5 to 5.7 $1,000 a month. 5,000. Let's just say at the cheapest, and that's why I'm going to go back to the original one. Let's just say on average you'll be paying around $6,000 per month just to pay off the required minimum repayments basically on a $1 million home mortgage. That's not something that I necessarily considered when I got into it in the first place. It's a fucking lot of money realistically. The average wage definitely doesn't pay enough to be able to afford that. To be honest, the average household income might just be enough to be able to afford that. And it does kind of blow my mind realistically looking around and seeing all these houses and properties being sold for, millions of dollars. Like Glenwood just hit a record breaking, I think it hit something like $2.6 million or something just the other day. And that's fucking crazy. I used to live less than 5 minutes from where that house was sold. And believe me, houses were not worth that back then. So it does blow my mind that people have got these fucking funds that just be thrown around out there at dispose. But for me personally, I stopped seeing the value in paying that much money per month just to live in a house that I don't want to spend much time in, that I don't want to live in the suburb in. And realistically, if I was to say I regret the journey, I don't. It's definitely been a learning experience. But this is another thing that I'd like to throw out there as well for anyone who's thinking of going down this journey for the very first time. It's not like when you just buy a home, you're going to make money. It's not what they actually say where you're going to be able to hold value on your home and then make money when you sell it. That is not true. Because if you're paying off $1 million home, paying, $1,250 a week, let's just say you're spending an average $1,250 a week per year, that's what? That's like $65,000, $62,000. It'll be, closer to $65,000 a year on mortgage repayments. If you do buy a home for $1 million and then 4 years later, hopefully the home's gone up 200,000, which that only happens it's like it can't happen. That can happen, but hoping that you're going to make $200,000 after 4 years of owning a property there's a lot of luck that comes into play. You have to hope that some suburbs are being built in surrounding areas that are doing well and there's been infrastructure upgrades and it isn't becoming way too washed or falling down the wrong way. If you're going to make $200,000 after 4 years, you have paid $65,000 a year in interest. It's not all interest. You have paid $62,000 a year in repayments. That's like $240,000 at the end of it in repayments to the bank. Let's take away all of the little things that come to do with houses, like, council rates and fucking electricity and gas and water and all these fucking little tiny extra things. Let's just remove all them. And let's just say you've paid $200,000, let's just say, in repayments. You've made $200,000. But then when you go to sell it, you find that out of that $200,000 that you've paid off, you've probably only paid off about maybe $30,000 of the actual loan. You know what I mean? Like, you still owe all that money. You then find that when you sell it, you do pay tax on any money you made. You do have the fees in which you got to pay the real estate. They take their cut. There's still all the things when it comes to realestate.com and the photo shoots and the bookings. And like, to be honest, everyone's getting your money anyway. I think once this is all said and done, I might have been able to break even, if not make a little bit of money. Like, I'm not even going to say how much because it's not really like I made any money realistically anyway. I think at the end of this journey, I pretty much got out what I put in, which has been cool. And yes, this is where I'm going to try and sell the idea to anyone as well as try and steer anyone away from it. If I did have this for another 10 years, 15 years, obviously I would have seen a profit eventually, except the fact that you do borrow $1 million, the bank gets 1.6 or something at the end of it. So unless the house has gone up to fucking 1.7, 1.8, like after 10, 15 years, and maybe you won't see a profit. However, I think that if someone is in a relationship with someone and they are obviously in a healthy long-term relationship, this isn't for 70% of the relationships out there. If they're in a healthy relationship with someone, they can see themselves and them about to get married, want to have kids in the next few years, and they have found themselves a location in which they'd be willing to spend a good chunk of their life at. They're willing to be there for the next 5 to 10 years, put in the effort, put in the work, treat the house like a home, and unlike what mine's a little bit more like a house than anything. Then I can see why that is a great idea for young, even old, I guess, but realistically couples to get involved together and try and build a future in that spot. Or if you're a guy that has a lot of free time in his hands, you fucking love money, you love working hard so much, you don't really want to go out, you can see that this is a great opportunity to be able to get in there, do a little bit of the work yourself and be able to get out. I can see that being a possibility as well. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying for me and my journey, being a single lad, a guy who doesn't like to spend too much time at home, a guy who doesn't like to be living in a suburb that he doesn't want to be living in. In fact, I don't like commitment realistically that I have to show up for. I much prefer things that I want to be doing than things that I feel like I'm obligated to do. It hasn't been the right fit for me. So my experience moving forward is going to be, I'm not going to jump out of the property game forever. I do see myself eventually obviously getting back in. However, I'm going to take a little bit of a break until I can find something that I do not want to live in, find something out of Sydney, find something that I can see having pretty much little to no return on. I'm not saying I'm going to be able to make a crazy amount of money after a certain amount of time buying this property, but just something that I think can just comfortably pay itself off. It's never going to happen in Sydney. You're never going to be able to buy $1 million home that costs $1,250 a week and then rent that thing out for fucking anything more than maybe $650 on that home, if you're lucky. So they're still paying half of it off yourself, just to have someone else pay half. And then if you're also doing that, then you've also got to have enough money to be able to pay off the actual house that you're renting in or the actual house that you have a mortgage on. Outside of Sydney, everyone that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be keeping my mind out of this place. This is not the fucking place to be making money. People made their money already in Sydney. And I feel like that generation is not going to be our generation. We are not our parents. Our parents have lived in a completely different time than us. All the people that are older than us are only able to give advice on what they've done, not based on what the times are today. And just get your foot in the door is not, from my perspective, someone who's not educated, someone who's not financially equipped to be giving out advice, someone who you should definitely not look at as an advisor. Just get your foot in the door, from my perspective, is not a good thing to tell people, because it is a very strategic move, And if situations were different and I didn't have my surrounding suburbs be going through what they're going through, I probably would have came out of this experience less off than I was when I got into it. I probably would have lost money. It would have cost me money. There just happened to be a little bit of luck in the process of some smart decisions made. I did put a bit of work in. The house did take a little bit of a upgrade in a way. And even then, it wasn't enough. It's only because certain suburbs around are doing really well with the houses that are being built there, and that money eventually trickles over into the next suburb. So pretty long roundabout way of saying it, but I personally think there's better ways to be spending your money, There is something that I've been educated on lately. Someone said the most financially equipped mindset is not to be buying a home to be living in it. It's to be paying rent in someone else's home and having your own investment properties elsewhere. What I want, realistically, what I've been deciding is probably better fit for me. I think coincidentally does happen to be the best financial decision that people are giving advice for in today's day and age. And look, it's hard because I definitely don't want to try and tell anyone what the right and wrong thing is to do. I don't know. I just know for me personally, buying a home to live in it as a single lad, as I said, will not be something I probably look forward to doing in the future, at least in the foreseeable future. But with this does come more opportunity, Like if I didn't go down this journey in the first place, I would never know what it feels like to be paying off a mortgage, to finally have that ownership title, to feel that depression of paying off all the money every single month and only having a little bit of it come off the loan and the most of it coming off the interest. Like these have been pretty good, fun learning experiences that I'm going to be able to take with me forever. And to be able to come out of it and have just a little bit of extra spend of money, to be able to do something with is pretty exciting as well, It's a little bit scary too, It really is a little bit scary too, because I know what I'm like and I'm pretty impulsive, and I am definitely classed as someone who's an addict, and as soon as I start to spend, I probably will fucking flush it all down the toilet. So I have to be a little bit careful about what I do moving forward. Maybe make some good habits and probably put some good routines in place. But yeah, that's basically a long roundabout way of saying that this studio has done its job for as long as it has. I've been very fortunate to be living in the same home that I have my studio built in. I've been able to go back and forth between all of my commitments very, very comfortably, and it's going to be something that I need to do again in the future. The idea of having an external studio would be cool. However, I'm not trying to get out of this to be able to lose more time. I still want to be able to have everything I need, where I need it, when I need it, and be close to the action. So yeah, building a brand new studio. It's something I'm fucking super excited for. I've got the wall that I've been building for a very long time. I do forget quite often that people should sign it. But whenever I do have a guest come on, I try and remind them and remind myself that I'd like them to initial the wall, write a quote, write a slogan, just tag it with their fucking old school tag when they were younger, whatever it is that they want to do. And that's going to be gone. So I'm going to go on a new journey. I'm actually going to make what is almost like a documentary type video. It's definitely not going to be something digestible on Instagram. It's going to be long form for sure, where I'm going to go personally travel to every single person I've done the podcast episode with since episode 1 and get them to sign a movable backdrop that I can easily fold away and pack and take with me from location to location from now on. And yeah, it's going to be a great excuse to be able to catch up with everyone. I may as well film it. I'm already going to be doing it. And yeah, because to be honest, there's probably 20 fucking names on there and I've done 150 episodes. Some people won't be able to do an episode. Like I've had some people have moved overseas. I'll still be able to catch up with them when I can, or I can just make the effort and go see them myself. Some people have passed away, so I will, probably get their family members to do that instead. But I'll find something nice to do. It's almost like I'm also going to do a little bit of a give back to everyone as well, because you are the reason why I've realistically made it this far. I couldn't have done 155 solo podcast episodes. There's no way I would have committed to this and continued to do it for this long if I was by myself. It's the companionship that you really get along the way from doing so. So I thank everyone who's helped become a part of this journey, who's given me their time, given me their energy. And to be honest, I need to say this as well. I thank every single person that's been a part of listening to it as well. Like every single person that's clicked today, truly, you don't understand how grateful I am for it, The fact that people are tuning in every single week. If I'm doing a solo episode and then there's any views realistically is fucking crazy. And to be honest, bro, what's been really, really cool is like my YouTube analytics at the moment, it's almost at 50,000 views. And to me, that's mind-blowing. Sometimes I just type into ChatGPT, I say, hey, can you show me what 50,000 people is equivalent to? And obviously there's recurring people. There's people that are there to watch it, if not weekly, then at least bi-weekly. But that's still 50,000 click-throughs, and that's fucking insane, I hold so much value to that. I hold so much value to the 500 subscribers that I have on YouTube. Like to me, that's a fucking lot of people, And sometimes I actually try and put myself out of my perspective and imagine it as someone else looking in at me and seeing how many subscribers I have and wondering if it's the same feeling. And I still can't, because I'm actually so grateful. Like I am delusional in a way. I am ambitious and high aspiring. I did believe it would happen. I can't say I don't, but to believe that it's already happened, and to some people 3 years might sound like a very long time. But to me, it doesn't, because it's just the thing that I do every single week. And yeah, to me, that's a fucking lot of people, bro. That's a lot of people that decide to show up, Like I think people definitely undervalue what a massive number, like there's channels out there that have like millions of subscribers. And I think people so undervalue how big that number is. For me to think that if I just do this for another 3 years, I'm going to have 1,000 people that have been a part of subscribing to this journey. And that'll be like 100,000 views in total. 100,000 views is an insane amount. That is an insane amount. Like 500 subs, realistically, it is very difficult to try and name 500 people and to be honest, I fucking could easily go through a list of 155 and name them. But it's not easy to try and recount how many people that is. Anything bigger than that, and I think it might be a little bit hard to wrap my head around how big the number might be, which, of course, I'm excited for the platform to get to that position. But I think like now I'm only at the grasping points of being able to actually imagine how many people that is, and yeah, it's pretty crazy and it's pretty cool. It's been mad. I do appreciate every single person who does give me the good feedback and even the bad feedback. If some people think an episode was boring or shit, or I didn't hold myself very not professional, but hold myself to a high standard through that episode, then I appreciate people letting me that know as well. And even some people, they do say, look, to be honest, that guest was a little bit not my cup of tea, which I understand. Some people everyone should have their own preferences of what they do and don't like, especially when it comes to people. But what's been really cool lately as well is like people have been saying, nice things in person about it. Whether it be people I know or people I don't, it does surprise me every single time someone does say they've seen it or like it or watched it or something like that. So those moments are fucking very cool. I've actually been hanging out with a few mates over the last, month or so. Some people that are active inside making content and post videos out there for people to see, and they've created pretty big audiences. It's been mad watching their growth. And then hanging out with them in person and just seeing the interactions that they get with people online is fucking crazy. I mean, getting interactions they're getting with people in real life is crazy. It's crazy to go on someone's page and seeing, looking all the nice feedback that they're getting in comments. I love seeing the love and support go. But then to watch it in real life, it's like photos and it's fucking stories and all these things happening. And I'm like, bro, that's crazy. The power of what posting can do. It's fucking crazy. And to be honest, I'm so keen to start posting more. I've got some mad series that I'm looking forward to starting coming up, especially when it comes to this move. I'm actually going to commit to the thing that I've been saying I'm going to do, and that's that I'm going to be doing a once a week solo episode. I'm going to be doing a pendulum podcast where I stand in front of almost like a presidential stand where they have their notes and iPads and microphone built into it and stuff, and they give their press conferences and speeches and announcements and emergency broadcasting and shit like that. Or do a podcast, pendulum podcast, or Podium. Maybe it's called Podium. Oh yeah, pendulum is a fucking like a necklace and shit like that. A podium. Maybe I said that before anyway. Podium podcast is something I'm fucking super to do every single week. I'm just going to be kind of talking about the business and how that's growing. I'm going to be doing a little bit of a review on the guest. Not a review on the guest. A review on the episode that I just filmed with the guest that I had on, where I will be a little bit deciphering what I think I can do a bit better. And to be honest, I'm going to be talking a lot about what I can be doing better in my real life and also some of the experiences that I do have, because I do find that I do live a pretty fortunate lifestyle. I am very lucky to find such a drive to go out and try new experiences and go to new places, whether it be food or concerts or festivals or seminars or experiences or fucking museums, whatever it might be. I'm always trying something new most weekends, realistically, if not 2 or 3 times in one week. So it'd be cool to be able to speak a little bit about what my things are like, because at the end of the day, this is a journal that I'm able to go back on and look at the future. It'd be nice to have a lot of that recorded as well. But most importantly, I can't wait to spit absolute fucking garbage. I cannot wait to give my 2 cents and my opinion on anything that's happening in the news or politically, or even when it comes to religious beliefs and cultures, or anything that's happening on a bit of a national relations level when it comes to foreign activities and the relationships that countries have with each other. Anything that I'm definitely not equipped to be speaking about, I cannot wait to give my opinion on, and I cannot wait to be speaking as if I've got something to say, knowing damn well I'm fucking freestyling all of it. Yeah, it's going to be very, very fun. It's going to be silly. It's going to be a way different approach to what the Doxcast is. The Doxcast is genuinely a relationship building educational platform for me in my self-development journey, but the Podium Podcast is going to be me just fucking having a Mickey and having a laugh. It's going to be fucking madness. And then another series that I'm very excited to be doing, I'm going to be putting it out on YouTube. I'm hoping to be starting it in December. I'm very close to committing to it, to being that date, but I'm going to be doing a long format YouTube series of maybe about 45 minutes to an hour of actual food and restaurant reviews, being in person, and then a bit of an interview style approach to it as well. And yeah, it's going to be a series that takes place over just over and under 2 months, realistically, depending how far it can be stretched, of every single day, brand new episode coming out. There's going to be some mad fucking guests through this series as well. It's not entirely podcast and interview based, but there is segments of it that are. I don't want to speak on too much about what it is exactly yet, because I do know that this has never been done before. It's a brand new series. It's something that every single person is going to find entertainment and value from. And to be honest, me personally, networking and all that stuff as well it's fucking evidently, it might be the fucking biggest leap I take moving forward, realistically. And great opportunities are going to come with this. But yeah, I know everyone's going to find a lot of value from it. Not just from an entertaining point of view. I do think it'll be a little bit silly, a little bit funny. It'll also be a little bit educational, and it'll shed a little bit of a light onto whether or not people should, try out these restaurants and things like that as well. And I'm going to be as honest as I can through it, no matter who is going to be sitting with me while doing this. But yeah, that's been really cool. Very excited to do that. And then on top of that, I'm just going to continue to have fun. When it comes to making Instagram content and little videos and stuff like that, I haven't necessarily found as big of a passion or calling to it as well. It has been fun. I'm constantly, at least trying to, most weeks, think of a brand new thing to do, whether it be a skit video or a bit of more of a meme related thing, or taking the piss out of something, or whether it be a food review or a concert or an experience, or maybe a little bit more of a talking video. I'm trying pretty much brand new things every single week when it comes to Instagram and that side of it, because it is fun. I do really enjoy the creative process and things like that. However, I haven't really found anything that I really want to try and become solidified in. Still looking for that thing. I'm in the process of doing a bit of a journey at the moment of speaking to my closest people in my life and trying to work out a little bit more of a description of me and who I am and what other people perceive me to be. I'm taking a little bit of a census data, I guess you can call it, and I'm trying to navigate what it is that are my strengths, what it is that, I only know me from how it feels to be me from the inside and who I already assume me to be when I'm watching myself back. I don't really know what other people think of me. So it's cool to be able to learn why my friends are my friends, what the value that I actually bring to other people is. And I'm going to continue to double down on those things, fix some of the things that I'm lacking in, avoid some of the things that are a waste of time focusing on. And I think through that, I might be able to find a little bit about myself as well. And maybe I can carry that over to a bit more of an online presence. That'll be a nice little thing. Because I do know that I'm going to eventually tackle Instagram full steam ahead and create a bit of a presence on there and an online personality. I just don't want to be inauthentic. I don't want to, go down an avenue or a road that I know is going to work, but I also know ain't for me. And to be honest, it's very easy, I believe, for me to get lost in that sauce, because I am a bit of a chameleon. It does help when it comes to being a podcast host. I'm able to feel how it is that the other person is feeling, and then almost participate in their energy, as well as trying to navigate it in a smooth flowing conversation at the same time. But because I'm able to kind of mimic my environment pretty well, I don't want to accidentally fall into something online that isn't me, and that's very, very easy, honestly, to do once you start making content, trying to become someone else and follow people before you who have done similar things. I think it's human nature in a way. I don't think most people probably just aren't self-aware that they do it realistically in their everyday lives. But yeah, it's definitely another part of the content I'm going to keep doing moving forward. But it's fucking fun, eh? Going out there and filming videos. It's fucking stressful. It's a little bit fucking, you got anxiety. You don't always feel like doing it, pulling your camera out, walking around, talking, having people look at you. These are kind of strange feelings, realistically, to be feeling. But it's fucking fun. And every single content creator that I've fucking met and hung out with so far, they all say the same thing. It's fucking anxiety-fueled fear, until you can just fucking focus in on the job at hand, and then it becomes almost like art, it becomes fun, becomes something that you want to be doing as opposed to something that you feel like you're obligated to do, I can't remember where I was going with all of this and how I even got there in the first place, but yeah, some things moving forward with content, that's been pretty cool. One thing I've been really pondering on lately is when GTA does come out eventually, in a way I'm kind of a little bit glad that it has been pushed back that little bit further now, because I'm not ready for it, but it'd be cool to kind of go down that road of streaming, because clearly GTA 6 is going to be something that everyone's going to be doing. And I think the amount of people that are getting involved in things like streaming and sticking to it is actually lowering, because there has been such a massive height in the benchmark in which people need to try and get to be like look how big iShowSpeed is. iShowSpeed is putting out another tour at the moment and going around, and his world tour was fucking ingenious. Ingenious. I don't know if that means the same thing as genius means. But now he's doing like an America tour where he's going around to freaking like country bumpkin towns and fucking fly fishing and bull riding and doing all these things. And the level of quality, if you go onto iShowSpeed's Instagram page and you check out the production that is involved in just putting out a trailer on Instagram for a live streaming series that he's going to be doing, is crazy. The height in which Kai Cenat has been achieving, and even people like Aiden Ross, who I guess you kind of say have fallen off, but just the monetary value in which he's able to stretch himself out at. In fact, I think there's a brand new episode coming out of Drake and Bobby Althoff on YouTube, actually. They're a really good podcast. I need to listen to that if that episode isn't out already at the moment. I don't know why I thought of that. But because there's been such a massive rise in how big these content creators have gotten, it's almost scared a lot of people off or given people a lot of doubt once they've started because they weren't achieving certain milestones, and they stopped doing it as well. So it'd be pretty cool to do something like, GTA 6 live streaming, because I'm probably going to take time off. I've got to be honest with you. I might take off a month when that game comes out and really just fucking give it everything I've got, because there is the opportunity to be able to make money in that game, They've been saying that you're going to be able to set up businesses and even passive income from giving time to that game. That fucking doesn't really exist yet. You've been able to make money from the fact that you do play games, but not money from in-game play. That's so crazy. So I don't know if I'm going to do that, but it'd definitely be something that I'm interested in giving a go, or at least playing on the idea of. That'd be cool. But my fucking weekly routine's been pretty cool at the moment. Like I've been enjoying trying to navigate, honestly, what has been some hurdles. I did get pretty ill over the past month. Podcasting hasn't been necessarily something that I've been focusing on. I have been focusing more on things like sleep and trying to eat a little bit better. And I wasn't going to the gym. I wasn't doing any of that shit. And I was kind of saving all my energy for every episode that, I had booked in to film, and then giving my guest everything as soon as I leave, just fucking go back to sleep. So trying to navigate through that has definitely opened up a bit more time, and now I'm trying to fit more things into my schedule, balance things out a bit more, like gym and things like that. But it's been very cool. I'm still committing to these NA meetings that I go to every Tuesday, and being a part of the world of recovery, learning from the people I've been learning from in these rooms and sharing my experience too, being able to give back a little bit about why it's been beneficial for me, how I did it, and hopefully that, someone else in the room gained something from it as well. But one thing that I kind of realized in doing these rooms recently was that I've only got, 2 years, 10 months, and for a couple days of change, or a couple weeks of change. But other people in the room, they're like fucking pushing on like 15 years. They're pushing on like 20 years, Some people are putting on crazy amounts of time. And I can only learn from what I've experienced in 3 years. But if I really pay attention and listen, I can take in what honestly is, stretched out across Sydney in all these rooms, thousands of years of lessons and education and quotes and sayings and metaphors and fucking like punchlines. Like there's thousands of years of knowledge hidden within these rooms. And to be honest, everyone in there has the same goal, and that's just to be better. Everyone in there has the same problems, and that's addictions. And yeah, it's just a mad little niche community. It's been fucking pretty cool. And the other thing that I find it very similar to is church. I go to church every single Sunday. I have committed to that all year. And then again, I see another room full of people with the same goal, and that's to be better people and with the same, interest, which is, building a relationship with God in the process. And yeah, that's been another mad community to be a part of, I don't know if I'm necessarily a Christian. I might take myself out of that category, because I do know a lot of people that class themselves to be, and we don't have the same belief systems. Obviously, everyone has their own relationship with God, and I can't expect everyone to fall under the same description, but just for the argument's sake, I'll give them the category. I'm fine not being classed as one. However, I do believe in Christ. I do believe that Christ is someone who really did live 2,000 years ago. I believe there is enough evidence to prove that to be true. And I do believe that, he was crucified on a cross on top of the mountain in Jerusalem, or the hill in Jerusalem, I believe it was. And yeah, I do believe that to be evidently true. And there is undeniable evidence inside my own mind that God is real. There is a creator. There is a higher power, a bigger consciousness than I can perceive. And, I'm on my own journey of trying to figure out all that is, trying to build a relationship closer to God. And these rooms happen to be the best rooms in order for me to do it. It's cool. Not every single week is a mad. Like some weeks, honestly, there's a service going on and it's like, fuck, I'm counting down the minutes. I can't wait till it's over. It's like I'm just ticking boxes by showing up. But then there's some weeks when I go there and I leave there feeling so motivated, so inspired, so uplifted and so driven, like so understood as well. I feel so understood, which is a very underspoken feeling about going to churches. It's like you do feel understood when you're there. Because we are all just experiencing this experience together, It's not like, of course, everyone is an individual, but, it's one thing that you don't realise when you're going through shit, and that's that everyone actually kind of does know how it feels. And, yeah, I think we forget sometimes that, however we are feeling, pretty much everyone else is feeling it as well. Maybe not everyone at that exact same moment, but, realistically, everyone at certain points in their life are going to know what it feels like to feel that. Yeah, it's been a mad journey. I definitely feel like I'm building a stronger relationship with God. I am trying to understand it more. No one knows what it is. Anyone that tells you they know, they're wrong. Anyone that tells you that Christianity is 100% certainty and that every single thing that they say is gospel is maybe not lying to themselves, but at least they're inaccurate. There is no proof for anyone to be right. There is only evidence that you can create inside your own belief. And that's all I'm trying to do. I'm trying to figure it out for how it works for me. And I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to preach that in a way of factual shit, And so that's one of the crazy things about religion, to be honest with you. I'm going to be honest. Like a lot of it is what they say is facts. It's just crazy. Like how is it facts? How is any of it facts? Maybe at one point it could have been facts, but it's like can't be facts forever. Yeah, it's cool. There's some really good services, realistically. I'm not even trying to drag anyone to go there. Like I've been meeting lads lately who are in like 7-day Adventists, and I've been meeting people in Mormons, and I've been meeting people in all these different little pockets. And to be honest, they're actually very, very close to each other. Like everything's very close. And I do get along with Muslims. I'm always trying to learn a little bit about that as well. Just for me in my journey, I think be like Christ is the ultimate goal that I'm trying to work towards, because I think what they're trying to explain, from my perspective, is that Christ is the representation of a perfect person, someone who is sacrificial, someone who is selfless, someone who is only there to serve others. And no matter how hard things get, they're always going to continue to put other people first. And I think the goal of life is to be like Christ, to preach facts, to uplift, to motivate, to help, to pretty much create miracles everywhere that everywhere that has your presence. And yeah, it's something that I'm definitely going to try and be like, it's something that I'm always going to try and aim towards, learn who Christ is so I can try and be like him. So at least put myself and the people that I care about in as best of a position as possible. I fucking watched this mad ass thing on the news this week. It came out. Danny Abdullah is this lad's name, and he sat down with. I don't remember the other guy's name, but he was basically an interview and a sit down and a catch up with this guy Danny Abdullah and the guy who murdered his children. There was this guy who was under the influence of drugs and alcohol and was driving recklessly through a street during a bender. And he plowed down like 7 children who were all walking down the street together. I think they were all related, if not maybe a couple of them were friends. And 3 siblings and 1 cousin all passed away. And from what was described, it was nothing but a horrific scene. I don't remember how many years ago this happened now. I think maybe 3 or 4 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago, this incident occurred. Yeah, 5 years ago this did occur. And the relationship that has been built is so surprising between the father and the guy who took those kids' lives. He's forgiven him. And to be honest, this is all reminding me of it because I thought of Be Like Christ as I was watching this interview, He basically said to him, he's like, look, what you've done, I'll never be able to heal from, but I forgive you, And bro, he's built a relationship with this guy because he understands that if he doesn't, it's going to kill him, He lost children all in one hit, 3 children, all in one hit due to this guy's irresponsible decision-making. And yes, it was an accident. And I think that he understands that it was an accident, but he also knows that it was from the silly mistakes that he was doing too. So yeah, he basically said, look, I forgive you. I can't let this be such a massive hole in my heart forever and hate you. And if I don't fucking forgive you, I'll probably will hate you. So he calls in on him. They speak on the phone. Danny's helping the other guy build a relationship through the Bible with God. And he is on that journey now himself. And the guy in prison, he basically said, man, I don't deserve this. I do not deserve him to welcome me into his life. I do not deserve any of it. I'm 100% responsible. I deserve to spend the time in jail. I think he got 15 years. I deserve to spend that. I have done something that I'm going to regret for the rest of my life. But the fact that he has forgiven me, even though I didn't deserve it, has saved my life. I would probably not be here knowing what I've done if I wasn't forgiven for it. Fuck, what a story, bro. If you haven't seen that on YouTube, fucking hell. I watched it over days. I couldn't stop watching it. It was unbelievable. It was the kindest thing I've ever seen. It made no sense. I can't imagine myself doing it. It's almost insane, realistically. But it was the fucking kindest, most I don't want to say it was understandable. It was rational, but it was straight up this will kill me if I do not forgive you. And he forgave him. And he just lives with this burden on his heart forever. And he even calls the inmates' parents and he's like, hey, I know you guys probably don't deserve to be going through what you're going through. I hope you guys are all right. He has a relationship with them. Bruh, this guy is the closest thing we have today to Christ, hey. Shout out to Danny Abdullah, hey. Shout out to him. It's fucking crazy. I'm trying to think if anything else has been crazy in my life lately, I went on a mad podcast yesterday. I got the privilege of being a guest. That episode will come out after this episode does come out, so I'll try and reference it moving forward in the future and through my content. But I met up with this guy, Mario. Mario, he's been on the podcast before. He invited me back onto his studio just to catch up, see what's been happening with me over the last X amount of time since I last seen him, which was almost a year ago to the day. And it's always a weird feeling, eh? Being a guest on someone else's podcast, I kind of know what it feels like to be a guest now on mine. Obviously, he has a different way of hosting than I have of hosting. I definitely felt on the spot. I had to make sure my answers were a bit more sharp and well-spoken. He has a bigger audience than me, realistically, as well. Way bigger audience than me. So I know that everything I said on there, I wanted to be able to provide his audience with well-articulated responses, but fuck, he did a mad job. It's always mad. It's a mad privilege. But it's weird, eh? Being a guest that someone wants to speak to is a strange thing. Because I'm just me. I'm just a fucking lad. I'm just a geezer. I'm just a fucking person doing their best to be him. And to have someone question you and ask you about, how it is that you've been able to do the things that you've done is like, bruh, what? I don't know. I feel like I've got a long way to go, realistically. It is odd, eh? And it makes me really think, I think the people that come and do the podcast, they might have a little bit of a weird time if they have the same mindset as me. So I need to try and articulate myself a little bit differently. And I do. I kind of feel like I just like having conversations with people, but I want to make sure people are aware that I'm not expecting them to preach facts. I'm just expecting them to be honest about their experience. And that's all I require from people, because sometimes you do feel a little bit pressure in the moment being a guest. I've had to do it. I have had the privilege of doing it on multiple podcasts in the past, and you definitely do feel like, fuck, pressure's on, like time to fucking educate the youth here, you know what I mean? Like trying to get that clip-worthy moment, trying to give something they can put into a motivational YouTube compilation and get up in the morning from. And it's not the case. It's not the case at all. So shout out to Mario. Very, very keen. That was cool. One thing that's been cool is... Oh, fuck it. It hasn't been cool. I'm going to be completely honest with you. All right. So for those who know, I started another apprenticeship this year. I'm back at TAFE 1 day a week now. I'm going down the journey of doing my electrical license as well. I already understand it. I'm already in the field of working with it. I'm lucky enough to be able to understand how it works and be able to put it into practical use. However, the difficulty of what doing the electrical course is actually higher than I thought it would be. And I actually have a lot more respect for anyone who has gone down that path before. Because being able to take what I already know, which makes it easier for me compared to a lot of the people who are learning it for the first time, to be able to take what I know, and that's how to wire anything. I could wire this entire house. I could build this PC. I could wire anything. To take that information and turn that into mathematical equations, to be able to turn that into correct terminology, to be able to describe what it is that's happening in a scientific explanation is actually fucking very difficult. I'm not the smartest cunt, that's for sure. I was in the top class because on day one, you walk into the class and you had like a piece of paper with all these 30 questions, and I saw a calculator there, and I said, oh, well, if you can use a calculator, I'm sure I can use my phone. So I just asked ChatGPT every single question, and I was like, fucking hell, this is going to be a pretty easy TAFE course. So then they put me in the top class of all these smart lads and lasses, and everyone in my class is a fucking wizard, bro. They just understand shit so easy. They're able to pick up on things like by just hearing it one time. And I'm like putting in the work for it. I'm studying. I'm doing homework, and I have an understanding of how it actually works. So I was getting by putting in the extra work. However, and this is what I would need to say this: fuck Mount Druitt TAFE, all right? These fucking jealous cunt teachers, all right? Straight up. I went on one holiday. I had a booked-in holiday already, and I told them, I said, hey, just so you know, do we have any exams? They said no. I said, perfect, because I'm going on a holiday. I'm going to get tattoos in Thailand. I've had this booked in. They said, no, you're not allowed to do that. And I said, who the fuck are you to tell me no? This is me and my time. I'm going to go do it. When I was there, I also caught up on all homework. I was putting in effort as fuck, and I made sure when I got back, I was fucking well equipped to walk back into the room. Then only a short amount of time later, I injured myself at work, and I had to miss out on one lesson because of a work-related injury, and I literally had physio and shit. I was on crutches walking around. I almost had to get surgery and everything. Anyway, I told them that. They were understanding on that. And then when it came to resit the exams that everyone had missed out on through the year, or people had failed, if you do fail, you do get the opportunity to be able to resit once. I failed nothing. I missed an exam, and they straight up told me, and me alone, we're not going to let you do this because you went on this holiday. And I said, well, that's not going to happen. You're going to give me the opportunity to be able to do this. Anyway, back and forward, eventually the fucking semester finishes. They haven't given me the opportunity to be able to pass because of the fucking one exam I've missed. And again, having this conversation with the head of TAFE, I've been in contact with fucking everyone. This fucking miserable fucking geezer ended up telling me, we are not going to let you do this because you went on a holiday, and that is your fault. And to be honest, this motherfucker was being so rude, and I tried so hard to be as polite as possible. And I ended up saying, like, bruv, don't fucking speak to me like that. And to be honest, I kind of had to tell him how it is. Not advocating that's the right thing to do, realistically. I got pushed by this fucking rude prick. So now I've got to resit the entire first year again. Next year I'll be starting it again, no matter how much effort I put into fucking making sure I pass. Oh, I've got to be fucking honest with you. Like, it's a setback. It's a hurdle. It's something that I'm going to make sure I do complete. I do not start anything with the intention of not finishing it. It's definitely the next step in my self-development journey. I don't know if it's going to be my career moving forward, but it's something that I need to tick off. I can feel that mental fucking call towards it. However, I need to air this out and say this. Fuck you, Mount Jewett TAFE. Fuck you, the teachers that I had. Fuck you, Miles, you fucking head of TAFE fuckwit. I'm pretty sure that was your fucking stupid name. You were rude to me. You were fucking disrespectful. And I think a lot of yous are jealous cunts, all right? And what 40-plus-year-old lads are going to try and make some young cunt's life harder who's doing his fucking best. And if everyone listen, believe me, I do not get paid to go to TAFE. I do this in my own time, all right? I put in the hours outside of TAFE to be able to be as best as a employee as possible, and I fucking show up there under my own will. I'm putting in the work, and these miserable, depressed fuckheads who clearly hate their jobs and hate themselves want to try and push that feeling onto someone else because they're jealous of the fact that he's actually going out there and enjoying his time and taking time out of his annual leave to go on a holiday for something that was already booked in, right, before he had the idea of starting TAFE. And I'm not going to go take away the money that I've already paid for a tattoo because I've now got TAFE on, all right, because I'm going to catch up. If you can't understand that, you fucking sad, pathetic pieces of shit, fuck you. I'm going to be back next year. I'm going to be finishing this fucking TAFE course. You aren't going to stop me from doing it. And to be honest, I just hope all of you find at least something in your life that you can at least hold a little bit of excitement towards so you're not feeling so fucking dirty at anyone younger who was out there enjoying themselves, because that's 100% what this entire thing was about, the jealousy and the fact that I wasn't willing to suck their fucking dicks in order to be able to pass this TAFE. That's genuinely what they wanted over there. I got the 100% impression they are there to run a dictator, tyranny, military-based program. And to be honest, none of these cunts are clearly in the construction industry because the mindset that they have are not good tradesmen and are not good mentors and are not people that are willing to actually be there to help the younger generation get to the places they want to get to. They're the cunts that are actually on site, and there's a fucking reason why those cunts are sitting in those fucking TAFE classes, educating the bullshit shit that doesn't even help the cunts when they get their trade anyway. So fuck you, fucking Mount Jewett TAFE. Fuck you, you head teacher. Fuck you, the rest of you cunts that wouldn't let me catch up. I seriously am pissed off about it. I did my best. I tried. I fucking fought. I sent off emails. I used ChatGPT so much to be able to help me try and make sure I can secure myself a date. No one was willing to help out because of these fuckheads. So yes, I'm going back next year. I'll see you all in the beginning of the year. And yeah, I might or may not go to Thailand again. We'll see how it fucking works out next time. But yeah, that irked me. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Can't remember what I was speaking about, but I'm pretty sure I was telling those fucking teachers to get fucked. Yeah, it's been cool. I got to be honest with you, like, a fucking apprenticeship isn't necessarily the easiest thing in the world to do. I fucking got by on my first one by the string of my teeth. I was lucky enough to have really good mentors. I went down a pretty bad road of self-destruction, sabotage a couple of years into it, and I had the right people in my life to be able to help me get along through it. So I have to just keep in mind moving forward that any of the young cunts going through a TAFE as well, I now have a good experience of understanding how difficult this particular course at this particular TAFE is. There are definitely ones out there that are better accommodating and things like that. But yeah, it's not as easy as fucking just showing up every single day, putting in the work. Sometimes you do get fuckwits that just want to tear you down in the same time. So something for me to definitely think about being a site supervisor as well. Maybe I'll just touch on that as well. I've really been enjoying the process of educating and training at work as well. For anyone who is a tradesman now in the position where they're responsible for multiple people on site at the same time, you do have to actually make a few sacrifices, and it might even come down to sometimes being the quality of your work. Maybe I just haven't particularly found that perfect balance yet. I think because I'm still in the first few years of it, I am making these fatal errors, but sometimes you do have to understand that things aren't going to be done as neat as possible. It's not worth the money it's going to take to be able to fix it up that little bit extra to put it to your own higher standard. But the feeling of reward you do get by seeing people improve, giving them the time and to be able to develop their skills and work on their things is worth it. I am pretty pedantic in particular about how I want things to look and be, and I do have a bit of a way that I'm constantly trying to ignore, and I do feel like I do a pretty good job of being able to be lenient in ways where it's best best efficient. However, being a supervisor, being responsible, being someone who is, to be honest, probably a little bit too overly cocky in his skills, like myself, it does give you that little bit of extra fucking humbling to be like, okay, well, I might be good when it comes to just me, but am I good enough to be working and leading a team to my instruction? It's cool, but I fucking definitely like doing it. But I have been feeling this a lot lately, I swear to God. Like, I've been thinking to myself, man, I can't be doing this forever, eh? I cannot be fucking on site, running around, showing up at 7 o'clock in the morning forever. I'm currently in a position at the moment where I'm fucking struggling to fucking get up by 7 o'clock in the morning, let alone get there by 7 o'clock in the morning. I have not been the best employee over the last couple of weeks, so I will improve that moving forward. And I don't know if it's just the season I'm in, or if it's a bit of a rut, or if it's a bit of a mindset I need to work on. Maybe there's fucking something going on that I'm not aware of, but it's a constant effort to try and be as good as possible. You know, you can't rely on the work you did yesterday to show up for you the next day. You have to put in that same amount of work there. Gratitude is one of those things in particular. You know, you kind of work for your gratitude every single day. You don't expect it to be there, and you can only be grateful by putting in the work, which is a big misconception as well. But there's this little things that I've been trying to implement into my schedule that one, finding benefit to, but also, you know, as soon as you do start putting things in, taking things out, some things do start to fall down and some things get left behind. And writing is definitely something that I've been putting a lot of effort into lately. I've been journaling a lot. I've got 4 different journals that I try and keep up to date with as much as possible. I've got one for the brand, one for the content, one for my faith, and one for my recovery. And just trying to learn a little bit about myself. ChatGPT is a fucking great tool if you know how to use it. I heard this study that came out, it definitely became public enough the other day. I don't know if it's been out for a while or not, but it's that ChatGPT and other forms of AI has been lowering the human IQ faster and faster as time goes on. And they found that the test subjects and patients that they did this study on had a 40% decrease in things like reaction time and memory retention after using ChatGPT for a certain amount of time. So if you use ChatGPT for absolutely everything, you are going to find yourself to lose your capabilities and, you know, brain power and function. But I think if you use it for the right reasons, it's actually a mad tool. You know, I can just punch into ChatGPT every single day. Hey, I'm up to this part of this journal in particular. Can you give me what I'm up to in terms of the steps that we decided to take moving forward with this journal program? And it will give me my next step. And then at the end of the step, it will say, all right, good work. Good job for fucking getting through that journal. Are you up to your next journal yet? Would you like me to do that one? I just have to say yes. And it fucking gives me everything for the next one too. It's a mad fucking tool, eh, this ChatGPT shit. I ask it fucking so much shit all the time. I say, hey, by the way, can you help me redefine these words into something that's a bit more digestible? Can you help me articulate the YouTube description based on these talking points that I've made through this episode? Can you... Honestly, sometimes you can use it to fucking send girls messages. Like, you can use it for anything. Like, it's fucking so mad. It's an absolutely sick tool. So I use it a lot. Business partner and I were using it to send messages to the suppliers overseas. And then their messages back, we ended up just sending them, how good's ChatGPT? And then they responded with, oh, lol, that's so funny. Like, it does help me try and articulate this foreign communication, you know, going from one language to another. And we're just like, yeah, it's cool, it's calm. Like, we use the same program. But you can kind of tell when something is a ChatGPT answer and you can't, which is pretty crazy that we're already able to see the AI inside of human interaction. And I don't think AI will ever catch up to our level of fucking thinking, because we can notice when it's been ChatGPT, you know. I at least can. It's very, very easy to know when a video is AI. You might trick the old people. I don't think I've been tricked yet, but it doesn't matter how realistic any of these videos are. You can pretty much across the board tell when it's AI. And I know we're only in the early days of discovering it and fucking working on it and shit. And it is becoming pretty crazy, but it's never going to be able to replace pretty much anything or anyone. You know, people are worried it's going to take everyone's jobs. I don't think it's going to fucking replace anyone's jobs. It definitely ain't going to replace mine. Can't replace what I do creatively, and it can't replace what I do cognitively. Like, it's good and all. It might be able to replace some kind of fucking if someone sits there all day and he works out numbers and that's his job to fucking work out numbers, then maybe it'll be able to replace him. I feel like I've spoken quite a lot for this episode about a bunch of random topics, to be honest with you. Like there's not too much more that I've been pondering on lately, and at least nothing that I've been coming to conclusions of. I'm always trying to think about something, create something new, try the next creative pursuit, or even create the next fucking theoretical probability of fucking absolute nonsense and garbage when it comes to a bunch of things. But I have tried a lot of cool things over the last few months. I ended up doing that sound healing experience. For anyone who saw anything about that, I may as well speak a little bit about what it was, but I had this lovely lady, Annika, come on, and she told me about everything that she does with sound healing and what her journey has been like leading up to it and how it has helped her out and how she uses it now to help others as well. And basically, the premise of it is what it is described to be. You use sound to be able to heal yourself with physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, or any other kind of things that you need to be healed from. And I had a great experience. I had a mad experience. Headed up to Newcastle with her. She had a sound bed where you basically lay on this pad on a bed and vibrations get sent through it to be able to stimulate your body and senses. And you also put these things on top of you as well. You can wear headphones as a part of the experience where I put headphones on and I'm kind of just guided through a journey of thought more than anything. I was able to think deeply about myself, my past, my present, my future. Your brain kind of flows in a really weird artistic way, being under the influence of these sounds and vibrations. It was fun, definitely, to say the least. There was also a part of the experience where she played these instruments. She did some singing in the process of it as well, I think, unless I made that up in my own head as it was happening. But it was a very trippy out of body experience. Definitely, I feel like I learned a little bit about myself. I feel like I was able to pick up on some things that I'm lacking on, find some things that I need to double down on, and find some of my strengths as well. And for the most part, it was just a fun experience for me, to say the least. I've tried a few of these different things where people have tried these trauma healing things. Like for me, when I've gone to speak to a psychologist in the past, I went through a very serious relationship and in the past, and due to the fucking circumstances of why that was a big relationship breakup, like it wasn't necessarily like this girl was anything special, if I'm going to be honest with you. It was just the situation in how it ended that made me feel like I needed to speak to someone about it. And to be honest, that was more of a fun experience than anything, speaking to a psychologist, growing a bit of a kind of friendship, having a position and platform to be able to vent and speak my mind. Like, it was fucking fun. And then going and doing 9D breath work ceremonies, or whatever you call them. Like, a lot of the people in these rooms, they did have a bit more of a traumatic discovering or unveiling of themselves. I just fucking had a blast. I felt good. I felt great. I felt powerful, to be honest, when I came out of it. I've never felt so certain about who I am and what I'm meant to do than fucking going into those experiences. And then same thing again now, another sound healing experience. And I think one of the reasons why is because I kind of try and face everything, to be honest, and be as open and honest about a lot of things as possible. Sometimes the easy way out is something that I'm conditioned to, but I do try and push myself to have those uncomfortable conversations when I need to have them, whether it be with a professional, whether it be with myself, or whether it be with the person that needs to hear it. Sometimes people do say things or do things that does fucking upset me, and I'm not really the confrontational kind of person when it comes to the people that I care about. But sometimes I just got to say it to them how it is, Sometimes I got to say, bruv, what you did there was fucked. Like, I did not appreciate that. Like, I will not stand for that anymore. What you did upset me. There's plenty of conversations I've had to have in the past. Draw some lines, cut some people out, push some people to a certain distance, and I think it's the best way to do. It's the best way to do things, and I think that my experiences with all these healing processes have been teaching me that whatever I'm doing is at least working for me so far, because not too much stuff has really ever come up that wasn't dealt with in the past. I feel deeply. I feel mad. Like I proper sit in the fucking feeling of nerve, excitement, anxiety, shame, whether it be love, whether it be proud, whether it be gratitude, whatever the feeling is, I do truly embrace it, and I don't really run from it, you know. When I'm sad, I let myself feel sad, and when I'm fucking happy, I definitely let myself feel happy. It doesn't matter what other circumstances come to play with it. So don't run from your problems is the only thing I can probably use to circle that whole conversation around. Don't run from your problems. Don't run from things. Feel what needs to be felt. Because if I've learned anything from seeing other people experience these trauma fucking responsive fucking ceremonies, bro, like people got some shit to deal with, eh? Some people might have just been told something when they were younger that they didn't really like, and every time it popped up into their mind, they chose not to think about it, or they're still dealing with that heartbreak or that tragedy. And if I got to be honest with you, I've been meeting more and more people who are living in this moment at the moment, but people have shit that is being carried on with them, eh? People are not dealing with their problems. And as soon as you can just let things go, you become so much more lighter and equipped. And honestly, just by thinking about it, just by spending a little bit of time thinking about what it is that's actually making you upset, you become so much more fucking free. You fucking start to fly. It's fucking mad. I had one major slip up. I'm going to talk about this. I had one major slip up when it comes to gambling. I used to have a pretty bad problem, if I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I went down a rabbit hole for quite a few years of fucking honestly blowing everyone's mind of the amount of dumpage that could be done in one setting. And I ruled it out of my life for a very long time, and I probably got about a year, if not a little bit more. And then I had a bit of a blowout, not too bad, but still more money than I'm proud of. And then since that day, I decided to draw a line in the sand again. I didn't do it again. I probably got about 18 months before my last gamble, and I had a pretty big blowout. Not a big blowout. I was being silly. I was being reckless. I was being irresponsible. But I do know what I'm like, and it fucking became addicting very, very quickly. So I've had to draw that line in the sand again. So it's not something that is permanently washed away. Gambling is fucking incisive. It is something that draws you in. Easy enough for me where I don't have Sportsbet. I don't have fucking Ladbrokes. I don't have any of these apps. It's very, very hard for me to be in a position where I can gamble. I don't have a card that actually works. I've scratched out the fucking ATM thing, so I can't actually put money in or out of my account via my card. I can only use my phone to get cash out if there's a fucking Commonwealth Bank ATM card that's cash around. So I can't do nothing at the pub. I have put a lot of limits to be able to make sure I can't do it, but these fucking things do fucking find their way into my life if I do obviously have a little bit of disposable cash or anything like that. But yeah, that was a big slip up. I'm fucking happy to admit, because even someone like me who likes to say they've stopped doing it can easily fucking slip up and waste a bunch of money on something that is absolutely ridiculous anyway. It blows my mind how many people are fucking gambling nowadays. Like, fuck, when I started doing it, it was not as popular as it is now. And that's because Sportsbet and all these apps weren't as big anymore. Online gambling wasn't as big as it is when it comes to like things like Prize Picks and Stake and all these other options as well. But now it's like, fuck, bro. Like, I barely meet anyone that doesn't do it, eh? Barely meet anyone. Going out has been awesome. Staying sober has been awesome. I've created and cultivated a mad crew around me now of people with the same enjoyment levels of going out and not, drinking and drugging. It's been really good to spend time with these people. It is actually very surprising for me nowadays when I do go out with people when they are involved in that lifestyle. No fear, no judgment, although, however, there is no judgment there. Some people do enjoy it, some people do love it. It is part of some people's internal fucking stimulant. Like, I've got my things, I've got my vices, I've got the things that I do because they make me feel good, even though they might not even be good for me. But it has been definitely surprising to find out that it's actually becoming a bit of a shock to the system to see people do it when I am out with them, as opposed to the fucking lifestyle that I lived in the past, where honestly, there was definitely a stage in my life where every single week, someone, if not, to be honest, every single day, someone was ODing, someone was fucking getting stabbed, someone was getting arrested, someone was in court, someone was getting themselves in a fucking pickle. There was fucking something every single day for so long where fucked up shit was happening, and I just thought, man, it's just so crazy that this is normal. Like, I didn't even think it was crazy that it was normal. I thought it was normal to have a crazy life. Like, I thought this was the standard in which most people fucking experience. But yeah, it's fucking such a different age, such a different world, such a different thing that I'm involved in. Well, I pretty much said everything that I really do want to try and get off my chest when it comes to today's episode, guys. I do appreciate every single person that has listened. I have spoke pretty much about a lot of the things that have been on my mind lately. Big moves coming up, big changes. Selling my first home has been very, very cool. Fucking TAFE doing my fucking head in has been cool. Starting this business with my friend. All the new series are going to be coming with me and my content lately as well. And I'm just going to continue to try and be a better person as I can and try and get closer and closer to God as my time continues to go old. I do appreciate every single person that has clicked on this episode and who have made it this far in the episode. I promise you guys, it means the world to me. You guys are truly my biggest supporters, and I just want to know I honestly would love to know every single person that has made it this far, because I'd love to be able to give back a little bit as well. The podcast is about to reach a brand new level of growth when it comes to, monetary value especially. And with that money, I want to put it all back into the podcast to be able to give as much entertainment as possible to the people who are listening. It's been very, very cool. The podcast does have magical powers, It's what I like about the doing these solo episodes, which I'm going to do more of, is that I am able to manifest things into my future, because guests have proven it to me over and over again. And to be honest, I've said a lot of things from episode 1 to episode now that have came true. And I think that same joke that I like to say with the Doxcast is a special room, can be applied into the everyday life for every single person. Realistically, you don't have to spend money on building a studio for it to work out, or put a blue, or get your fucking maddest OG fucking Fossey to be able to buy you, which he gave to me for my birthday, a Doxcast LED sign. These aren't the things that create magical powers. It's just the belief and the understanding, manifesting your reality to become true. If you believe the facts, which is energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed and transferred. That is evidently true, For an example, for any fucking person that might not know, a firework doesn't just go up into the air and just fucking disappear. A firework goes off, it transfers into sound, and that sound transfers into wind and movement and noise, and then even the fucking matter and the element in which the firework once was transformed into light and now smoke. And every part of that firework still exists. It's just been transformed into something else. If the whole universe works like that, then to imagine and to dream and to envision and to hope for something that you can see in your own mind means that you aren't creating that. That already literally exists. You are not creating anything. You are just transforming and transferring what is already there into your reality. People have tried to say this time and time again, and I understand what they're saying, but so many people also don't. And that's that the future that you want to be in already exists. All right? It's already there. You just need to decide whether you want to be the type of person to walk towards there, or if you're looking at someone else's future, because that fucking future exists. Everything that can happen will happen. It's Murphy's Law. I can try and use all these fucking theoretical physicists and fucking philosophers to be able to explain it, but there's no point. You just have to believe it for yourself. Believe it for yourself. You are the person you are today because you wanted to become them. If you're not changing it, you're choosing it, okay? I know for a fact that if I met myself when I was a teenager, I would have looked up to myself, and I actually imagined myself becoming the person I am today, which is a very crazy thing to wrap your head around, because it doesn't come with much pride, and it doesn't come with much ego, and it doesn't come with much gloat. I have a fucking long way to go before I become the person that I want to become. But I am pretty much certain that at 37 years old, I'm going to become the person that I want to be at 27, because I'm willing to walk that road, and which it takes to be able to get there. And every single person has this opportunity to be able to do it as well, We are constantly creating our environments. We are walking into the direction in which we want to be walking to. If you're not a millionaire, it's pretty much evident because you're not willing to do the work in which it's going to take in order to become one. You have the options to do whatever you want. This is a fucking beautiful playground that we all have the privilege of being able to walk around on, and we kind of have the option to be able to create our own realities as we see fit. It's hard to wrap your head around. It's a very spiritual woo-woo thing that cannot be explained through science and our current understanding, but fuck, it's evidently true in my life, It's evidently true, and I believe, and I promise you, every single successful person in the past is going to tell you that they had the exact same belief system The idea of being self-made is only something that the successful people claim. It's only the successful entrepreneurs that go out there and they say like, yeah, well, I did this. It's never the people living average everyday lives. It's never the people stuck in the same routines that don't want to be stuck in. It's definitely never the same people who regret their decisions and ended up hating where they are right now. None of these people claim to be self-made, but they all are, just like the people who are fucking uber successful. So if you're going to be self-made and there's nothing you can do to not be self-made, why not make yourself something great? All right. I've absolutely spit enough garbage today, guys. I thank you very much for making it towards the end of the episode. I promise you there'll be another one next week, as there always is. That's enough. Peace.
Shawty catch a vibe, yeah, I had to put her on. Bought a two-seater, yeah, we heading for the sun. Shawty got my high, I ain't tripping for the funds. Yeah, I won't start, I ain't tripping, I'm a stunt.